For Huru. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, guys, make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. Again, make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. While you're there, grab some merchandise, grab some books, also join the email list, and then also make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the content. Again, like, share, and subscribe. We would really appreciate your support. And become a monthly Patreon. Again, become a monthly Patreon. Without further ado, I have my brother. Now, every time I'm in Ghana and Kumasi, his mom takes care of me. All you can drink BSAP. No, Sobolo.
Sobolo.
Sobolo. Yeah, it's BSAP everywhere else. It's Sobo in Nigeria, and then it's Wonjo in Gambia. So, every time I step in Kumasi, refrigerator full of Sobolo, refrigerator full, and I better drink every bottle. I better drink every drop.
Oh my God.
I better drink every drop of it too before I leave. So,
Amen. Amen. Like I said before, man, that's your stuff. I might be able to handle maybe one or two at the most, but I can't keep going on that stuff all day, man. I'll be in the bathroom all night.
You know what's funny, man? It's weird. Like sometimes I could drink about gallons of it in one day. I'll be fine. And then sometimes, man, like I don't know if it's bad or what. I'll drink one little thing. I'm on the toilet for 2 straight days.
It's strong, bro.
I don't know what it is. Like it just depends.
Yeah, but man, honestly, man, I'll be there, may God willing, sometime this year, man. And if you happen to be there while I'm there, I think
I'm coming through.
Yeah.
I'm coming through.
Had a lot of unfinished business, so.
Yeah, you definitely know I'm coming through. Guys, as you come to the chat room, hit that like button. But we have my brother Ahmed Agyeman on with us today. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing Afro-Nationalism, and they're going to be discussing putting together, Africa plan, this Africa plan that, I've been preaching, especially in the times that we're in here in America. It doesn't make sense why you don't have some type of exit strategy. So, brother Ahmed, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, and all that good stuff.
What's going on, brother Dynast? It's a pleasure to be on your platform once again. I'm honored, man. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with you, in Africa and everything. Other than that, my name, I'm Ahmed Agyeman. I am the CEO of Agyeman Consulting Services. I'm also the co-founder of a nonprofit organization called ADIA, African Descent Youth Affairs. If you go to www.adyaeffect.org, you'll find us. We are doing some great work in Seattle. Other than that, Agyeman Consulting Services, we advise companies and individuals who are looking for opportunities in Africa. We are all about optimizing the opportunities in Africa. We believe Africa has the numbers in terms of the population. It has the natural resources. It has the human capital in terms of the capacity and scale of ability to be optimized on a workload fields, right? Because the average age in Africa, I believe, is about 18 years old, between 18 to 20. So yeah, Africa is the future. It's about 1.3 billion people. I believe it will be about 2 billion in about 30 years. So our goal is to help those who are looking for ways and understanding how to navigate all the challenges, because obviously as an emerging economy there are a lot of challenges. It's still developing its own unique system of operations to be able to meet its massive diverse human capital on the whole continent of Africa. It's going to take a lot of brains to be able to consolidate the right system to be able to navigate it all. So we are here to do our part So if you need us, you just go to agyemanconsultingservices.com and you let us know, and we'll be there.
Mhm.
Mr. Dynast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself. From Ghana, ended up in the West Coast.
Yeah, from
Tell us.
Ghana. I left my beautiful mother to come live with my dad. Um, my father had moved out of Ghana um, after the Rawlins uh, after the Rawlins administration around 83, 84. A lot of people were leaving Ghana. My father was no exception. He left to come and continue his education.
Let me ask you this: why was that? I thought Rollins was good for Ghana, or I thought. Can you
I
kind of go
mean,
into that, or
I can't really go into details because we'll be off topic a little bit,
okay, okay, go ahead. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
right?
I'm sorry.
But let's just put it this way, right? I've said this to you before. You know, the only thing I remember out of business school, okay, is a class called probabilities,
Hmm.
okay, which is the ability to look at the track record of something or the pattern of something, okay, and make an informed decision on what that situation is about. So whether it's going to be good moving forward or it's going to be bad, right? So if you go buy a car, they look at your credit, right?
Right.
They go, okay, we don't have the vision for the future, but let's look at his track record. You know, if you got if you don't pay your bills, if you don't had outstandings and that kind of stuff, they go up. Most likely, even though you might have had a great job right now, even though you might have changed your life right now, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna go, nope, we're not gonna give you this car. Your credit is bad. You don't have a track record of being able to show that you're gonna be able to meet the payments, so we're not gonna give you the car. So if you look about, if you want to talk about Rollins, if you look at how long he's been there, like I said, if it takes education to be able to optimize any environment, the human capital, man, the resources, the ability to create the environment where people can get up and feel worthiness and go get something to do and come home and feed their families. Well, he had 22 years to do that in Ghana. It took this administration to come and implement free education in Ghana, which has been historical as we speak right now. So, you know, that's just a little bit of that, right? But moving forward, yeah. Um, my father came down in Seattle to advance his education. Eventually, my brother and we moved out here with him. I was about 10 or 11, I don't know. And, family was so dysfunctional. I mean, by the time I was 15, I was on my own, and ironically, I got to Seattle, man, there was nobody from West Africa that I knew of. You know,
Hmm.
the closest Africans I knew were the East Africans. So I grew up with my Somali brothers. I grew up with my African American brothers, and really, man, being a black man in America, man, is through the eyes of my African Americans. Okay, man, they raised me. You know what I mean? So, you know, after a while, man, I had to reconnect back to my homeland. You
Right.
know, and that's what saved me. '07, I started reconnecting back to my homeland after going through madness. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, man, eventually, man, I went back to school, and hey, man, I ain't turned back since. And
Right.
now we passing on the knowledge, and hey, making sure the youth, man, who out here, man, biting the Kool Aid, you know what I'm saying, man, they understand that, man, they got a lot of time to be able to make things right, man, and and be a part of the real Africanism.
Right. You said real Africanism. Like, can you expand on that? Like, when you say real Africanism, like explain what that means for people who don't know.
I mean, wow, I don't know, man, that's more spiritual than physical, dynasty. I don't think they're ready for that, because a lot of our suffering is really, man, tied in a spiritual form.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying, man?
Right.
Is man? The reason why game bangers can't stop game banging
Why?
is because they shed blood. Diners. You know what I'm saying? When you shed blood, it's it becomes spiritual. It becomes emotions are spiritual. You know what I'm saying? So it's connected to something deeper, right? So when you talk about Africanism, is is spiritual, right? So you have to look at yourself and go, well, when our ancestors were fighting for liberation, right? I mean, if you think about this country called America, Diners, only thing that comes to mind is ownership and freedom. And
Right.
you are an example of that, right? As a black man in America, right? Ownership and freedom. That was not a coincidence, right? But you think those folks, when they were fighting for ownership and freedom, what do you think was the core foundation of their fight? It was to uphold their ultimate identity, their African values, their African morals. That's what they was fighting for. They wanted ownership and freedom to be African, to be able to practice their African religions, their um, African identity, and their way of life and expression, right? And that's
Hmm.
why you have the first AME. Huh?
Amy
Why?
Church.
Exactly. Why? Because they wanted, because you being African is more genetic than just a name. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like when you get an opportunity to read a book like When Egypt Ruled the East, right?
Hmm.
And you start to look at your ancestors navigating around the world
Right.
and conquering these islands, right? And leaving their marks, right? And then you see a Southern Indian person today and
Hmm.
he tells you he's not black,
Right.
right? And he's darker than me, you know?
Right.
But because of ignorance, right? Because of the lack of understanding, because of the fact that this person is ungrateful to his own identity, right? His mind, his body, and eventually his soul is not in control of him. He's not in control of these things. When you're not in control of your mind, and you will not be in control of your body, right? And eventually you will not be in control of your soul. It might just leave you early, right? It's a cycle that our people have to find a way to reverse. Otherwise, there's no way around it, man. We'll continue to face the ultimate price, right? And so Africanism to me is more spiritual. It's an identity which is connected to your genetics, and your genetics is spiritual, right?
Mhm.
It's unseen, right? Right? It can go far back into thousands, right?
Right.
So
Gu-
yeah,
Guys, hit that like button. Now let's jump into this Africa game plan. I've been me and Jackie Johnson. I don't know where Jackie is. I've been trying to reach out to her. I can't get in
okay,
contact. She came up, and I'll give her credit. She came up and coined this term, Africa plan or Africa game plan. For 2020. But with this COVID, it's kind of been somewhat delayed because Africa, the borders have been shut down. What should the diaspora be doing to prepare themselves for, this Africa future? Or how should they start as far as getting their Africa plan together?
well, I, great question. Um, as a strategist on Agyeman Consulting Services, I mean, I answer these questions all the time, right?
Hmm.
I think we have to look at it in a way where we have to be very realistic with ourselves, Diners.
Okay.
Okay. um, this is not the first time any of us are having this conversation.
Right. True.
Trust me. I mean, how far? How old is the first enemy?
How old is my first enemy?
No, no, no. How old is the first AME? First.
Amy Church. Amy Church. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I mean, over 200 years, or roughly close to 200 years. I would say close to 200 years. No, I would say 100 and between 150 and 200 years.
It's like 120 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
130. Yeah, around there.
Uh-huh.
But man, that's very old.
Right.
They played a big role in Liberia.
Hmm.
Okay.
I
They
visited the
played,
church. I visited the church. Like the
man, they,
original.
they played a big role in Sierra Leone.
Hmm.
They played a big role all over Africa.
Right.
So this conversation is not new.
Got you.
Are you
Mm.
understand? I mean, it's actually irritating when talking about it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like these cats. It's almost like we're doing them a favor, even talking about it, Dinus. Because I mean, you and I have such great respect for our ancestors, right?
Right.
Love and respect. I mean, look at how much investment you done put in. You know what I'm saying? Just honoring our ancestors and all the work and all the suffering they went through, right?
Hmm.
And these cats will sit there and shit on our ancestors.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why should we give them the blueprint?
Okay. Okay. All right.
I mean,
Okay. Now, keep going. I'm trying to see where you go with this. Keep going.
are they even worth it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you and I know we're gonna be multi-millionaires in Africa. That's
Mhm.
just a fact.
Right.
It is what it is. And still go to the hood and go see moms in our little bungalow. Chill
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. 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 Condo. 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 Yeah. Condo. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We raw like that. We
Yeah.
humble like that. You see what I'm saying, Dennis?
Right.
But we only gonna be able to meet that objective because we've been honoring our ancestors. That's
Mhm.
their price for us.
Right. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? These guys, you know, it's like, and look, easy mathematics, right?
Mhm.
In Seattle, right? An average income in Seattle is $100,000 a year, right?
Right. Mhm.
So let's do the math. If you come out of college and, as I say, hypothetically speaking, you have like a software engineering degree, right? You can go into Amazon, go into Microsoft, and they're paying you $95,000 to $100,000 a year average.
Mhm.
Easily look it up on Google. It's there, right?
Right.
So if you're 24 years old, as an African descent, an engineer, and they're paying you $100,000 a year, and you owe $100,000 in school loans,
Right.
you can still make a sacrifice 2-3 years and pay that off
Right.
if you're making $100,000 a year, right?
Right.
And say, well, hey man, the next 5 years, if I'm spending $5,000 a month just to chill and eat and sleep and save $5,000 because you
Right.
making 10 grand a month if you're talking about $100,000, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we gotta take in consideration taxes. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying,
30% as getting taxed.
look, 100,000 a month is actually more than 10 grand. But I'm just saying, if you talk about taxes and all that, let's say you go home with 8 grand,
Right. Okay.
okay, and you saving 4 grand a month, and you living off of 4 grand, and you work your ass off in corporate in 10 years. Look, you more likely might have about $400,000-$500,000 in your bank account,
Right.
right? And that's your sacrifice in that field, in that corporate field. At this point, man, you're probably 34 years old. Okay,
Hmm.
and you take that money, okay, $500,000, and you go to Africa in your field. I'm not talking about doing anything different. I'm talking about the same thing you did for 10 years in your corporate field. Take that money and go to Africa and go do the same thing and see how much you have in 5 years. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why four of the 10 fastest growing economies is in Africa,
Right.
because it's high risk, high return. But the question is it really high risk? Only a fool will go put their money in countries in Africa which is not stable and doesn't have a track record of optimizing, obviously, business opportunities.
Hmm.
So, out of the so called 54 African countries, and I'm using the word so called because you already know how I feel about, yeah,
Border. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
If you pick two or three, because each one of these averaging about 18 to 20 to 24 million people on average in a country, right? So if you pick one of these countries which is stable, and you put and you put your money there to play a role in meeting the supply and demand system over there in our country, how do you fail other than bad management?
Right.
So when you talk about African nationalism, Afro-national, I'm not really a big fan of isms because I just feel like, you know,
Mhm. Okay.
it's we have been sucked in with so many isms that I just feel like we every year we come up with
The
a
newism.
new ism, right? And then it takes the attention away from the focus. I'm one of those people who don't believe in complications. Oh, it's complicated. I'm like, wait. Do you know something that I don't know?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is the root cause of the problem? The root cause of the problem is we are dishonoring our ancestors who fought to uphold freedom and ownership within the identity of African. Martin, Webb Du Bois, Martin, all of them,
Hmm.
Marcus Garvey, all of them. Rest in peace to all our forefathers and mothers. They fought to uphold their African identity. What is the meaning of Southern hospitality? You grew up in Sacramento and Georgia. You tell me what Southern hospitality is.
Unfortunately here in Georgia, Southern hospitality is starting to disappear.
I'm not talking about what. Oh man, excuse me. I'm not talking about what it's starting to become. I'm saying when you used to hear Southern hospitality,
Mhm.
soul food,
Right.
what comes to mind?
Soul food. How you doing? Hello, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Everyone speaks. That doesn't happen these days.
Oh man, that was so bad, huh?
Now, if you say, well, "How you doing?" How you doing? It's or say, "What's up? What's up?" Like yeah, it's not existent now.
So I mean, how do we just pretend that man that's nothing,
Right.
or how do we just jump over that? Right? I mean, how do we just jump over that and create a whole new framework, like a VH1 identity of
Hmm.
the black man and the black woman? All of a sudden, they're trying to tell me that, things like game banging and and VH1 ratchetness and things like that, which comes out of poverty, which is artificial, which is not something which is genetically to us. You understand me?
Right.
Almighty God don't create poverty. It's made by human beings and their evil ways of organizing. So when you tell me that the people that 400 years before that and people who are more than 50,000 years old, all of a sudden in 400 years, they have replaced, hello, how you doing? How you doing, man? Can I help you? Hello,
Right.
sir. Hello, hi. These manners and values that our ancestors left as a fabric
Hmm.
of optimizing our families and our way of lives, you mean to tell me it's been replaced with all this nonsense that these folks are monetizing on TV
Right.
and things like that, and we expect blessings to be coming from our ancestors? I mean, if you die to
Right.
uphold those values that I'm talking about, and you seen this shit from your grave, man, are you gonna be blessing these Negroes?
Nope.
Okay, so why should we give them the formula?
Okay, I see what you're saying. But what about, okay, so for those who are serious, you know, those who have been enlightened, I think they should, they deserve the formula. Or what do you think?
I think we have to look at their track record.
Okay.
If you are enlightened, what does that mean? What have you done to show that you are enlightened? Only you can get me out of my house and talk about, hey, but let's do a live show. Why? Because I respect what you have done. I know your track record.
Thank you.
Other than that, I charge $300 an hour.
Hmm.
Trust me. We don't talk about it all on camera, but you know what I'm saying. It's real business because people are ignorant and they enjoy being stuck in their ignorance, and they think it's your responsibility to wake them up out of their slumber. But I'm like, well, I can't help you because Jesus told you that you are gonna perish for the lack of knowledge.
Mm.
I mean, I didn't tell you that. And then if you're a Muslim, the Prophet of Islam, man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said you learn from the cradle to the grave. So these two are the biggest brand in the world.
Right.
Anywhere you go in the world, someone is either dying off of this, okay, or inspired by one of these names.
Right.
So if they have a fundamental message of knowledge being a foundation of eradicating ignorance, and you don't want to learn about your own self and how that can help you grow economically, then I mean, so for those who are serious, we got to be able to look at their track record and see, well, let's see how far you have come.
Right.
Because every time I give you, it's a time I can't have back. So yeah, man, I would love to work with those who are serious. If they email me on my consulting company, or if they reach out to you
Hmm.
and they say, hey, where can we put our money at? For example, right now, I mean, the Ghana government is for the first time in a very long time, they're finally creating a company which is going to have its own basically gold reserves at home, but it's going to be traded, you know, on a public market. You know, basically, usually it's the white folks who come in there and they establish a company on our land. And they
Right.
go, well, you don't have the equipment, you don't have this, you don't have the know-how, blah 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 blah. and
Mhm.
they extract as much as they can, and then they come tell us how much they made, okay, and then
Right.
here's your 10%.
Right. Right.
Right? Why? Because everything is governed by systems, and when we were coming out of independence, they were so advanced with that system, that barbaric system that they used to basically oppress us for so long, that when we got independence, we had no choice but to go learn that system and try to compete with them. So now we're slowly figuring things out and realizing that, okay, well, we are the base of the supply chain. You know what
Right.
I'm trying to tell you? You know what I mean? We are sitting on the raw materials. We can add great value to it because 2 plus 2 is 4 in Ghana, just as much as it is in New York or Seattle or Bangkok. You know what I'm saying? So, um, for example, if this company will come out and people can invest in that company, so I would encourage the diaspora to look out for Japa royalties, which is in a huge discussion right now. A lot of folks in the country are talking about, no, they shouldn't do it, blah blah blah. But I think it's a great idea,
Mhm.
and I believe it's going to give the diaspora an opportunity to put your money into an African company. So when you're talking about Afro-nationalism or Africanism, I mean, this is one of the ways, you being African American, you can invest in that company. You being a Caribbean person, you can invest in that company, or African Caribbean, right? So you can invest into this company. So there are a lot of opportunities there. We just don't want to give it out to those folks who just sitting out there and not ready to move. But yeah,
Mhm. Amazon Now Rousseau says Afro nationalism is about political ideology and self determination, nation creation. That is revolution in sense.
yeah, man, that's from the Google stuff. You know, that stuff that, like, I don't know, man. If you Google, if you're looking for a definition, you know what I'm saying, that is, man, that's what it will give you in Google. But if we talking about an identity, you know, Africans are everywhere around the world, and I don't think it's hard to tell who's an African when you see them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, because we come in all shades and colors and all forms. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have to look at what is currently in place that brings us together, you know, and what we need to do to optimize that.
Right.
For example, here in Seattle, I have my nonprofit. A lot of people will ask you, well, what does that mean? African Descent Youth Affairs. Okay. ADIA has no boundaries. Just you listening to the name itself, it tells you African Descent Youth Affairs, right? So as an umbrella organization, we have our board from, um, I would say Jamaica, um, okay, Ghana and Somalia, okay, African Americans. These are our core board members, right? So again, you have to lead by example. And we sat back, and these folks are engineers, entrepreneurs, okay, um, accounting and finance, mm, and supply chain folks. And we came together and we said, what are some of the challenges that we are facing in our community? And I can't speak for the elders because I don't usually deal on a social level in terms of what we're doing with the nonprofit. We don't really help people who are 40 years old or older because the process of development takes time. So
Mhm.
when you look at where we at right now, you talking about how do we imprint that brand, that value brand identity that makes you feel proud. It doesn't matter if you were born as an African American or you were born in Ghana or the Caribbean. You're able to walk around and feel proud that, listen, I am African and I have a comparative advantage or kinship with my brothers all around the world, so I can sell them products, I can sell them services, which can add efficiency and productivity to their lives. You see what I'm saying? So we looked at that and go, well, it takes time to implement that. So we
Yeah.
started at the youth level. So as an idea, we created a math and science program and cognitive learning development program, which goes into the schools and outside of the communities to help kids of our kind because no one is helping them, right?
Mhm.
So we took ownership of that, Okay, because within the supply and demand value chain, you got social problems and economic problems. You know what I mean? So you can't address the economic issues and not look at what that means at the social level. Because when my company grows, I don't want to be hiring, people who obviously don't come from my community, because they're going to take that money away from my community. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So I got to be able to create the next human capital my way, because no one is going to do it. I'm not expecting the people that have a track record, or probability tells me that I can't trust the people that have a track record of oppressing my people to all of a sudden change their mind overnight and go, hey, I love your Africanism.
Right.
I will
Right.
come and save your children and have you guys become competitors like the Chinese have, in the last 30 years. It's not going to happen. So out of here, we chose, you know, to be in that leadership role because it's our godly responsibility. It's our spiritual responsibility, because when these kids in 5, 10 years, they are ready to be human capitals. So it's either we playing a role in these kids becoming our own social liability folks, or we play a role in them becoming productive where we can employ them as we grow our businesses. You, Dinah, should be able to have kids who intern with you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? From high schools and things like that. Because what you're doing, at some point when you can't do it again, you got to be
Right.
able to pass it on. So it's very, very important that we got to look at it at the micro level and the macro level. So at the micro level, we got to look at our communities and go, what does African identity means, or Africanism mean in your community? You know, are you beefing with your neighbor who's African over some stuff that don't mean shit? So, or can you guys come together and optimize your brain and make your community what it's meant to be? Okay, you don't plant corns and eat yams. I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Guys, hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, too, if you want to call in and ask a question, if you want to call in and ask a question, email is uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. I'm going to put the email in the chat room. Uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. Call in, ask your question. Again, uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. And please hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Let's see what we have here in the chat room. Somebody says, we do not have that much time to go through some process. We have done that for years. Now is the time for action. We need a quick action, or else there will be nothing left in Africa.
Yeah. Well, again, you got to have respect for the process of development. You can't just say we need a quick action. There's no such thing as a quick action. There's what you have called a sustainable action. You need sustainable actions. You need actions that when it's implemented is good for today. So when your kids is coming tomorrow, they can look at the formula and make some changes and optimize it, so other folks can also obviously keep doing the same thing. So it's not a quick solution. Is the ability to understand the problem has a value chain picture. What are the segments which needs to be addressed to be able to fix the problem? So within your community, you got to pick a segment and play your role. Because when you play your role and somebody play their role, it's optimized, and it keeps going on and on and on. Well, you can't just expect a magical boom to just happen. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? So if you're talking about money, for example, I tell folks, how many people wake up, man, and save 10% of their spending money?
All right.
Who said you need all that huge burger, all that huge meal that you're eating all the time? Okay, I'm not saying don't eat it, but cut a little bit and put that 10% on the side. Outside of your savings, though, you got your savings, but guess what? Practice that system that you came up with. Understand what is good for you and what that means at the micro level and how that can impact the macro. So if you're doing something right at in your community and it's working, you best believe you could take that strategy and implement it somewhere else. You might want to tweak it a little bit, but it will work because it's working in your community. Why? Because it looks like you. You know, um, we've been making it rain in Africa for how long? If you go to your weddings and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But hey, out here it might be a little bit different, but our
Man,
culture folks still making it rain in the strip clubs and other areas as well. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same formula. It just needs to be tweaked. So if you African over here, own it. Understand what comes with it, what values and morals that come with it, because you can't just go and pick somebody else's morals and values and think it's going to fit your and think is going to fit your genetic being. It's that's not how God made things. Unless you don't believe in God, then you can keep experimenting. But if you talk about having respect for God, you got to remember that it wasn't a mistake when God made you black. You
right.
understand? So you gotta understand what come with that. You know, what morals come with that, what values come with that, right? And black did not origin from North America. You understand? So, you know, you have to be humble enough to understand that. Look, like I said before, man, the mecca of all black folks is Africa and the whole northeast of Africa.
Our media at 2naja.com. 2naja, I just sent you the link. Media at 2naja.com. I just sent you the link. So we'll take this caller, then we'll take one more caller, then we'll close out. Guys, hit
Also,
that like.
guys,
Go ahead.
um, hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, also, guys, please visit my Instagram is Nana underscore KWAKUDUA is Nana underscore KWAKUDUA. That's where I keep in touch with my folks at. Also, AgyemanConsultingServices.com. We are doing great work. We are here when you need us. We only work with real folks who are serious about Africa because there's nothing wrong with getting rich for doing great things, right? That's how it's supposed to be. So if you're ready to do great things in Africa, we are ready to make sure that we can give you our services. Also, my nonprofit, our nonprofit, Idea Effect, ADYA, Effect, EFFECT.org. Please visit us and support what we're doing. Our goal is to fund everything we're doing ourselves, you know, unless we get help from some NFL players or basketball players, or these folks who are so-called rich. We are doing everything on our own, and God willing, our goal is to be able to create enough human capital which can go into critical spaces in our community from here to Africa.
Oh, cool. So media at 2naja.com. We're waiting on you. Guys, if you want to call in, we'll take one more caller after that. Go ahead, send me an email, Huru at searchforhuru.com or Huru at searchforhuru.com, and I will send you the link. Guys, once again, thank you so much for joining. Also, make sure you hit that like button as well. As well, you guys, make sure you hit that like button. So let's talk about. Oh, this is kind of off topic, just a little bit, but I think
Right.
it is somewhat still fits with the subject matter a little bit. A little bit. Ghanaian elections coming up. I really don't hear the Ghanaian diaspora really speaking on it. So Nana, can you tell us, just give us some insight on the election, like what's going on and
Um, the upcoming elections in Ghana, I believe, is around December 6th. Is going to be between the current president
hmm
and the former president of Ghana. He's coming back again, or he's trying to come back again.
can he run again? The former
Yeah, I think because he didn't get a chance to run for 8 years, because he took over after Tamils had passed away. May he rest in peace.
hmm
Um, and then I think he won. Atamils had 2 more years left, so he served that, and then he won. another term, which was 4 years, and then he was defeated, heavily defeated, in
Mm-hmm.
2016. And now, because he didn't serve the complete 8 years, I think it gives him the constitutional right to try to run again. So, um, yeah, I mean, he gets another chance. So I don't even know why they bring him, because I think his track record is so bad. I don't think it's gonna help
Really?
his administration.
I know he's a part of a couple development projects in Ghana. The past president,
Oh yeah, yeah.
real big development projects.
Is
So.
is Africa has Africa has the same issue. It doesn't matter where you go in Africa. Their issue is, which system are we going to be a part of to be globally competitive?
Hmm.
These people, because the global system of operations is a Western based, okay,
Right.
system, and it's very, very white supremacist focused,
Right.
right, and oppressive. And it has worked for them, though. It has made them a lot of money, okay? But there are almost 3 billion African descent people in this world who just literally came out of independence, including African Americans after Martin Luther King got shot, may he rest in
Right.
peace, right? Who literally just came out of independence like the last 50 years. You see what I'm saying? And when they came out, these guys had to face these people again on their global systems. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them have been confused on how to understand, what to do in regards to how do we create our own innovative system, which is able to navigate our people from what God has given us, all these riches that God has given us. We're able to say our people, our culture, our way of doing things, our mindset. How do we incorporate that into a system which is strong enough to transact our micro systems or micro operations and still be able to compete at the macro level? You see what I'm saying? It's been very tough. And Kuma tried it, okay, and you know what I'm saying. He had the idea with the whole Pan-Africanism. That's a big market, right? If you are selling this water and it's made in the African American community in Chicago,
Right.
okay, and is able to move through all the neighborhoods of African descent in America and then also be sold in Africa because of a Pan-African system, which literally reflects our culture, our way of doing things, and is owned by us. That's big, right? That's huge. So,
Right.
as I was saying, if you can do it at the micro level, it can be a test case or a pilot project to be able to be implemented at the macro level. So, in Ghana, Nkrumah was a pioneer in being able to be say, I'm going to be bold enough to innovate a system which will be great for my people at the micro level and also be able to compete at the macro level. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But we're going to do everything we can to make sure the ownership aspect of the value chain and every segment of the supply chain belongs to our people. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to what God has given us. So the last president of Ghana, he failed in being able to develop a proper system that could stand the test of time and be able to say, well, we are developing the right human capitals, which can take our natural resources and say it can create jobs at the micro level and also be able to compete and get the right, okay, foreign exchange or the right investment to come in and optimize what we have at home, you know, like a Singapore or like a Malaysia or like anywhere else which has proven to have a strong microeconomy and still be able to be a player at the global level. The last president was not able to do that. This
Mhm.
president who is on was able to come on and say, Ghana, you have an education problem. You will perish, like Jesus said, without education.
Mhm.
I don't care what it's going to take. I'm going to give every region of Ghana free education. The last time anyone did anything like that was Kwame Nkrumah.
Mm.
And ironically, the last president, he comes from the ideology of Kwame Nkrumah, supposedly. So how do
Right.
you come from his ideology? You benefited from Kwame Nkrumah's free education system, and then come and not make that your focus when you have close to 70% illiteracy rate. I mean, it's just, you
Right.
see what I'm saying? So when you're talking about the process of development, you got to give respect to the process of development. It takes a child to crawl, walk, and then grow. A tree, when you plant it, it takes a while to grow. So you need to induce the right education system, add the right continuous improvement formulas to it, and and make sure it reflects what God has given you, all your natural resources, and create the skill sets around the fabric of your natural resources so that you can use it to compete at the global level. Especially when your natural resources is a global commodity player. How do we lose over $6 billion to Dubai and Switzerland just in gold alone? I mean, that is fucking madness. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you, my brother?
I understand.
Huh? That
Yes.
is fucking madness. When you go to Dubai and it's shining like that, and they think they got something special, that is $6 billion of Ghana alone, stolen gold from the people because the people are ignorant, because the people are not able to understand how to create systems that flourishes the human capital to govern the fabric of what God has given them so they can be competitive. So when you come, you can't steal that from them. You see what I'm saying? So if you're a president and you're not making education your priority at the lower tier level, at the mid tier level, and of course at the advanced tier level, then what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I like this president in place because he has a passion for education. And I'm a big advocate for education, especially when it relates to being able to innovate our own system, which can reflect our cultures and morals and values and use that to compete. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I want to eat Mexican food. I
Right.
don't want to eat Japanese food. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can't use a European system to want to go and compete with a European because that European is gonna always have an advantage. You know what I'm saying? Because it's his shit. It's his system. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with him having his. Fine, no problem. We got to create ours, and then we find the equilibrium, right? We find a common ground and say, okay, you need this, I need that. This is why is this much of the market value. So you know what? All right, affairs change. You see what I'm saying? But you can't go to Japan and impose a Chinese system on a Japanese system. It's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? It's not how it works. You know what I mean? So the Africans have to innovate a system which reflects the identity and their genetic beings, which can be competitive at the micro level. I love the African free trade. I think it's going to be major. I think the African diaspora has to be a part of it. It's going to be a game changer as USA and China, especially, go head on in regards to who's going to have a leverage at the global power level. This is going to be a great opportunity for the African free trade to really build a strong, consolidated kinship with the Africans and the diaspora, right?
Right.
And be able to make things happen.
All right. Perfect. So what we'll do now we'll go ahead and close out. So I guess media to Niger's not calling in. So brother, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out, man. Thank you so much for joining. Anything you'd like to share in closing?
Nah, man, thank you for having me, man.
All right,
I
brother.
thank God that Africa was able to go through this whole COVID-19, um, and well, it's still going on, but by the grace of the ancestors in our spirit, man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thank you, and our ancestors for really helping us be able to navigate through this on the African continent because we don't have the infrastructure to be
Right.
able to observe the amount of death that everybody thought it was going to be happening on the continent of Africa. So we thank God. We thank our leaders who were vigilant, who were focused, and made sure that they could protect our poor families over there, who have already suffered enough all our people here and other folks who have died off of this situation. We all wish their families the best. And yeah, man, I'm grateful, man. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing you, man. We'll be in
Hold
touch.
on, Tunaj, you said the link is the old one. Hold on one second, Tunaj. I'm gonna resend it right now so you get in here and ask your question. Nah, because it's the link that it's the proper link. But let me try it again. Let me try it again. All right, let's see here. All right, Tunaj, I just resent the link. I just resent the link. All right, try it now. So you can come on and ask your question. Really want to hear from you. So, Media to Niger, I just sent the link. Guys, make sure you hit that like button again. And then go to dynastamir.com. Again, go to dynastamir.com. Let's see, in the chat room, I agree the whole system needs to be changed and more traditional ways of governing needs to be incorporated, which was also open to bringing in ideas to help society while maintaining traditional values. It seems like what I'm noticing now a little bit, I see this, correct me if I'm wrong, like many Africans are compromising their Africanity or traditions in the name of modernization. Am I wrong or
But what does it mean to be modernized? Like, I think one of the greatest misconceptions is that, you know, well, let me rephrase myself. I think one of the biggest observations, honestly, throughout my development has been as we have been modernizing, we're becoming more retarded. You know,
that?
um, for example, I tell folks all the time. I say, listen, my grandfather had 38 kids.
Oh, golly.
Okay, my great grandfather, okay, Nana Kwakudia Agyeman, okay, he had over 47 kids. Okay, Dinah, these folks had walked everywhere.
Hmm.
Okay, they were fit. So today, when we modernize it and we wake up and we sit in our cars and we're driving everywhere and we're going here and we're going there, right? And we're now utilizing our blood veins and these things. And then at 45, we're thinking advanced medicine is going to help your cloggedness, right? All that stuff, man, that's has been clogged up for the past 20 years of you not moving your body at all.
All
Huh?
right.
So, did you modernize and got smarter, or you modernized and went backwards, right? Because if you didn't have the car, you had to walk. But most likely, you'd have probably been strong, right? Live longer, maybe, right?
Right.
So, it's very important that we find a balance, right? So, there's nothing wrong with modernization. But look, what is the cost of losing your genetic tradition and values and morals? What is the cost of that? I mean, I don't know, but put it on a scale, right? You know, these guys are willing to sacrifice things that they can't come back from, right? I mean, they try to replace it with all kinds of stuff, and at the end of the day, it holds no weight because it has no track record of standing, right? Anything which has been great has been an improvement from something before.
Right. Right. Brother Media, go ahead.
Thanks for having me, Dynas, and nice to meet you, Nana. I just wanted to ask a question about specifics on what you would expect regarding the topics, what you would expect the game plan to be for people coming to Africa, especially from the US. If you've got any specific, then regarding the Ghanaian aspect to the contribution of the changes that are happening in Africa right now, what do you think will be the best place for the Ghanaians to place themselves? Because personally, given that Ghanaians generally are, they tend to be more Pan-Africanist in the way they produce a lot of Pan-Africans, let's put it that way. One would think they will be rallying, the African countries. And do you think African nations need to start thinking from the point of view of the Pan-Africanist approach to problem solving?
So, you have two questions. Can
Yes.
you repeat the second one?
do you think African nations should have a Pan-Africanist approach
Okay.
to solving issues?
I got that one. What was the first one?
But the first one is what, in terms of specific, what would be the game plan you want
Okay.
people coming to Africa to have?
Excellent. I want to thank you for your question. You are a very wise listener. You have been able to listen enough to ask informed questions. I appreciate you for that. I think really, man, the game plan, again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to understand the market base that you want to operate in. But most importantly, you have to look at it from an economic perspective, and you have to look at it from a social perspective. On a social perspective, what kind of person are you that want to take advantage of the African market? Are you a person who is proud to be an African? Are you a person who's humble enough to want to learn your African values if you do not know it? Or you a person who do not regard yourself as a student of the African values and morals and traditions and ways of governance? Not talking about the Western system that we have imposed on ourselves, right? So, what kind of African are you going to Africa with? You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of person are you, right? So, I think when you define that at a social level, then you got to realize that if you're not someone who's proud to be an African, who's not, who doesn't see value in your identity as a black man, and you just looking at money, you're not going to be sustainable in Africa. Because one thing that saved Africa after all the oppression that this land or the continent have gone through, one thing that saved it was our tradition. Ask Dynas. He's able to go back home every year and go to a specific type of traditional festivals, which has been around for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
So our traditions, which has formulas, principles, ways and actions of moving activities, is in place. So if you bring any alien form of thinking and you just want to capitalize off the open market on the African, eventually you are going to fail. So you got to define the type of social person that you are as a black man if you want to go make money in Africa. You got to make that your game plan. Because if you someone who have no respect for the African values, the continent of Africa has 1.3 billion people. It's a big market. It's going to be the future. You're going to be left out because if you take any alien ways of doing things, it's going to be seen as an oppressive ways of doing things, and you're not going to be successful, right? So I think when you have their interest at heart, if you love your identity and you go in there with the ability to make money and still make a difference in the community, you want to build schools, you want to help them learn different skill sets and be able to understand how to play a role with what they are creating at home, also with the abroad, their brothers and sisters, how can they get a taste of some of this good organic food from Africa? These things are something that would take a people that love Africa to be able to say, let's come together and make this money together. So if you don't have Africa's interest at heart, your game plan is not going to work. If you do, you take your skill set and you go to Africa with a small capital and you meet the right people. If you obviously contact my company, we'll make sure you get the right people and you'll be successful. I guarantee you that. Okay. Um, in terms of Ghana, right? Are you saying it should play a role more on a Pan African level?
Yeah, I think because Ghana generally has had the blessing to have sustainable peace for quite a long time. They've never been engaged in major civil strifes, and they've also been fortunate to produce quite a few Pan-Africanists. They have a generally good position to be able to start looking at things from, because it looks like most African nations are quite busy with a lot of internal issues, but Ghana can afford the ability to start bringing things together and start talking from the point of view of the general African approach to problem solving. My sorry, I think I would like to add append one other question to that, because there are other noises coming from Ghana recently that is counter that reputation that Ghana has. Because Ghana recently has been carrying out a lot of acts that seems to be hostile towards Nigeria. And so I would like you to comment on that. And I seriously think that Ghana has a critical role to play, just like I think the diaspora has a critical role to play. And I just wish Ghanaians embrace it somewhat instead of, trying to roll things back.
Yeah. Um, right. Historically, Ghana has played an important role on a Pan African level. Um, However, right now, Ghana has a lot of internal issues itself. It has a lot of cleaning up to do. And this present, I mean, I think for Ghana to be very effective at the continental level, I think it has to continue the current gains that it has achieved in the last 4 years to have a solid foundation to be able to help other African people. But at the minimum level, they are playing a role. They are, of course, made a part of the African Union. They are, of course, hosting the Continental Free Trade headquarters is in Ghana, right? So at the minimum level, they are playing a role, but I think it's very important that we realize that as much as charity begins at home, we are all brothers and sisters. But if you install your bedroom first, you can't come and tell me to clean up my house, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to clean up our house first, and we are doing that. And that includes that situation with Nigeria. You have to understand that Ghana is not as a big population as Nigeria. So really, naturally, if we just leave the borders just wide open, which I think it should, eventually you would just have everyone everywhere. I think the reality is the majority of the supply and demand economy in Ghana is within the retail field. And that is where the everyday people get their bread and butter and go feed their families with, right? So these folks, if I'm talking about on a profit on a daily basis, let's talk about $3 a day, $4 a day on average, right? I'm talking about these market people, right? As a profit. So any kind of competition which comes in naturally eats into the profit margin. So the government, in realizing that in the past, had put rules and laws in place as an exception to be able to make sure that they protect that market of retail, which is a sensitive market because it employs such a significant part of the Ghanaian population. Why? Because you got to understand that the natural resources that Almighty God has given Ghana, they have not been able to create a system which can allow them to own the value chain aspect of it and create a Dubai and be able to allow their people to just be able to have jobs all over the place.
Okay,
Because
hold
they've
on.
not been able to do that.
My issue with, sorry, let me just make this point. My issue with it is that I agree with your point that the numbers, you have to worry about the numbers. However, Ghana is a signatory to the Ecowas this agreement. This has gone on for decades now. So all African, West African countries have foreigners coming in there too: Liberia, Sierra Leone, Gambia, all of them. And there are Chinese people in Ghana doing all kinds of nefarious activities. As a matter of fact, Wodemaya called out one of them. So these things happen in various countries. The reason why I'm saying this is because I fear Ghana being a country that has been given so much and has so much to give is somehow being the vehicle that could lead to serious divisions in West Africa itself. And because first they destroyed the Nigerian embassy this year, then the 2008 they attacked some Nigerians, and this year you're asking Nigerians to pay $1 million to be able to trade. When Ghanaians, we have 1 million Ghanaians in Nigeria trading peacefully throughout all this period where all these systems are happening, Nigerians have not even bothered to look in the Ghanaian direction at all. So I just feel like Ghana has a lot to offer, but why worry about these little things?
So here, okay, since we want to be more specific, let's be more specific. Um, See, you don't plant corns and eat yams. I've always said that. Okay, when we talk about 200 million Nigerian population, we have to talk about what is the responsibility of Nigeria in West Africa. When you talk about ECOWAS, ECOWAS is literally is 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 all fragmented already because we have a whole francophone ECOWAS, which can't even make informed decisions with the anglophone to be able to establish a union which can easily allow our people to transact at the monetary level and also at the commercial level. You know what I mean? And a social level. It's what is the role of Nigeria in that, right? So when we talk about the things which needs to take place to bring peace to West Africa, we have to look at the things which are ignored, which are the most important elements which can foster, okay, what I call sustainable harmony or peace in West Africa is not being addressed. These things that you are talking about, these are cosmetic things, right? Um, Even though you have an ECOWAS initiative, you have exceptions within the ECOWAS initiative, which was okay and approved. ECOWAS has a parliament. When Ghana was implementing the law that says that you have to have $1 million, ECOWAS was right there. How come Nigeria did not come to Ghana and say, hey, this law is not going to work for it? They understood that Ghana was trying to protect an economic interest of a people that rely heavily on this industry.
Are you saying that these Ghanaians passed this through the ECOWAS and ECOWAS approved it?
I'm saying when they were passing the law in Ghana, the ECOWAS parliament was there.
What are they supposed to do?
They are supposed to come the same. What is the responsibility of the ECOWAS parliament?
No, it's up to Ghanaians parliament to pass their laws.
No, I just asked you a question. What is the responsibility of the ECOWAS parliament?
To Niger, I think all this has been resolved, right? I think the Nigerian traders were allowed to still conduct business, and they don't have to pay the $1 million, I guess, tax or fee.
Well, okay, okay, Diners.
Uh-huh.
It's supposed to be um, the Nigerians are supposed to be the wholesalers. Okay.
Right.
So here's a law. Okay, here's the nitty gritty aspect of it.
You can wholesale, but you can't retail.
You can't retail.
Right.
Okay, because Ghana does a lot of business with Nigeria. It's been going on forever. But Nigeria has a base where the Ghanaians have always utilized as a wholesale level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the situation is transcending into not only becoming wholesale, but you also becoming a retailer. So you eventually taking over the whole value chain system.
Right. I get that, Nana, but I think the issue is, like Tunaja was saying, does that extend to the Chinese and Lebanese who are retailing the hell out of,
Man, as far as I understand, you will not go to Ghana and see predominant Chinese in your retail industry. You don't see that. Do you have your exceptions? Of course, absolutely. But this rule applies to everybody.
Okay.
If there is a Chinese person with retailing shop in Ghana who's not married to a Ghanaian, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't have a family.
What I'm saying is that the Chinese people are able to come in and carry out rope mining and all kinds of stuff, and the Ghanaian government barely worry about regulating them. But what they are really biggest focus is to be.
I don't know about that. We have had significant issues with obviously eradication of our lands or for illegal mining and all this crazy stuff that these Chinese in the past were coming in. But we have moved forward. There's been significant changes and regulations put in place. If you go to Ghana right now, I'm not saying it's all solved and it's all great, but we have moved significantly. It's way better than how it was, I would say, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, in regards to just anybody being able to come in and just do anything they want to do in the mining industry at all. At all.
I hope so.
Point me anywhere.
Because the way I see it right now is that there is we like Diana was saying, and most of the people here want to see Africa doing what you hear people saying all the time. We need to come together. We need to come together. We need to come together. And anything that tries to deviate from that is something that we have to look at carefully and take care of, because these type of issues has been happening over and over again. Because you see, you mentioned about the francophone issue with African Union, African Ecowas signing a deal. Ghana signed a peace deal, some kind of deal, or not peace deal, some kind of deal with France this year. They are talking about Ghanaians speaking French, teaching French in Ghanaian schools.
I don't have enough information about that. In Ghana, we are
Please,
very, very proud of who we are. We have a lot of radio stations in the local languages. You know what I'm
please,
saying? We
please,
are very, very proud of who we
because
are.
the
So,
signs are that we can be here talking while things are going on the ground, causing divisions. Look,
well, it's like I was saying before, right? I'm
African
not
embassy was
saying.
destroyed.
Okay, so I was hoping that I answered your first question regarding the second one, with the Nigerian situation. I think as long as the law is in place, is going to be a challenge, because obviously the laws are meant to be respected. It's not always the case, but it's what it's there for. So if they want to obviously do anything about it, they will have to go to the Ghana administration and talk to them, and understand exactly what needs to be changed about that and why. And yeah,
Yeah, we are all one because Nigeria doesn't want to see be in a situation whereby we start passing the same kind of law against Ghanaians. I will not support that. I will never be in support of a law that targets fellow Africans. If you want to pass a law to regulate the foreigners coming into the country, the military bases being built all over Africa. We are talking about working together. We shouldn't be doing things to divide us. So, and
I agree. Yeah.
in terms of African plan, I would say anybody that is coming to Africa wants to come and reap as well as contribute. Because, like, West African Americans, when they are coming in, there's a lot they can offer. They don't have all the hang-ups of Ghana, Nigeria, or Hausa, Fulani. They don't have all those hang-ups. They can come.
I don't think it's a hung up. I don't think it's a hung up to be a Fulani or a Hausa or.
No. It's not. What I mean by hang up is that sometimes the people thief among each other. This is how they took Africa. Let's face it. How they took Africa was creating divisions among us, and they just walked in and took the prize. That is how they did it because we have so many. West Africa has 1,000 languages. You can see how it is easy to divide people.
Well, no, no. You see, that's a whole nother story. I think I would advise you to go and look at the landmass of the Ghana Empire, um, of course, with the Mali Empire, with the Songhai Empire, the Askai Empire, obviously with the Sao Empire, and on and on and on. These empires, you can't have an empire without having a system to be able to navigate and govern this massive land space. So our people were still speaking thousands of languages within these huge land masses, right? So United States, for example, is now considered an empire because you have different states, which in the past it was called kingdoms. You have different states in this empire. So when you're talking about languages, languages is not the reason why we cannot unify.
No, I'm not.
It's
I'm not
actually an
saying
advantage.
languages. I'm not saying it's tied down to languages. I'm just saying that it's easier to differentiate with people when they have different languages, different religions, and different gods that they worship. That's my point. And the fact is documented in history that the way they did it was they found one tribe, give one tribe rifles to fight the other tribe, and when they defeat the other tribe, they take the slaves and send them into ships. This is how they played us. It's what they did in America too. They did it everywhere. So it's quite. That's why I feel division is not something that is welcome in Africa at this time because these times are very important for us. And this is why I'm here too, because I'm here to keep saying we need to start with whatever hang-ups we have with each other, we should pack it. And African Americans, they can come in and say, okay, enough of this nonsense. We've seen it, enough of it. And I believe because I will see an African American as a neutral person. Because if they come in and say, or a neutral voice, when they say, you people need to come together, stop squabbling among yourselves. We have bigger fishes to fry. And I believe that would go a long way to sorting this in Africa out. It's not about always coming to Africa and expecting to gain something. Sometimes you might actually come to solve problems too. And that for me is an important way to look at it, because somebody once said that, okay, if you come to Nigeria, there's a lot of issues there. But that is the whole point of you going there. How can you really done so?
Yeah, I understand. I completely understand. I believe that obviously any form of a division which is artificial, we will always have our own ways of obviously being segmented, right? It is what it is. It's just how spiritually, it's just how the spirit made us. But we have to allow our common ground to be the stronger force to sustain us. That's what I'll tell you.
Okay, I agree with that. And my take is that we have to find a way to come together, and I think we will. We will. And
Oh, it's already happening, man. The African free trade is a game changer. I mean, imagine you are able to move things from, let's say, it used to be like you can't move nothing from, I would say, Guinea to Ghana or Ivory Coast. You know what I'm saying? Now, with about like 34 countries who have ratified to be a part of the free trade agreement, we I believe no tariffs or very limited fees. You are able to move your goods and products and services across these countries. This is what our ancestors have always wanted, right? So it's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars as it grows. So we ask God to protect it for us, because we got to own that value chain. We can't allow that free trade to be opened up and allow the Chinese and other people to come and colonize our own free trade.
that is extremely important, and I think we need to be talking more about that, because we want to shift focus to the way the free trade is implemented, because somehow it seems like the higher ups are having a discussion about free trade stuff and they are not telling the people. I can tell you that most Nigerians don't know anything about free trade.
Really?
They don't
Oh,
know anything about free trade. Nigerians know about it because they have the headquarters there.
okay.
So, and many African countries don't talk about it. They just worrying about their own issues at the moment. So,
Right.
because when the European Union was being formed, the way it was being formed, they had a lot of discussion, and the whole world was watching and seeing everything that was going on. But somehow the Africans are like, okay, let's just do it on the down low and have all our agreements with these different countries. And I think we should be, taking ownership of it, advocating free movement, things like that, so that we start coming together, trading amongst ourselves. The middle class will grow rapidly. When all that starts happening, I believe most of the African issues will just evaporate. It will just evaporate, because the funds on the ground, the improvements that are, because this is why the Chinese people don't revolt against their governments, because they see improvements. If people see improvements on the ground, they will not revolt. They will not have any reason to fight each other. They will not have any reason to go out and protest as much. But the moment the Chinese government don't perform, you will see problems in China. The same thing will happen.
Well, I mean, you have 200 million people in Nigeria. It's very important that you guys understand your consolidated economic and social objective, because we still don't know what's going on over there, and which is a big problem because you have 200 million people. So may God forbid anything drastic happens in Nigeria other than the so-called Boko Haram, we're gonna have a lot of refugees all over West Africa. So it's very important
Nigeria will
that,
be fine. Nigeria is organized chaos. Don't worry, we'll get there.
well, I mean, it's easy to say when you haven't solved Boko Haram, right? So
Boko Haram, see, let me tell you something about Boko
no,
Haram.
no, 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 no,
It's
no.
tiny,
That's a
tiny.
whole other topic right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. That's
That's a
a
whole
good.
other topic right there. Please. I'm not going to give you a chance to go into it, but it's still a liability, and may God willing, hopefully you guys will be able to deal with it, and all the best on that. But In the meantime, again, we just hope that you guys, as the giant of Africa, will understand your role beyond just individual brilliance. You guys are brilliant individually, but I don't know, but collectively, there's something wrong with the people. So I'm just gonna leave
Dynas,
it.
Dynas once said something that I found impressive.
You
Uh,
Dynas
well,
said that maybe because Nigeria has so much potential that they're under attack.
well, from who? Individually? I mean, again, I can't
You
come
don't
between you and your brother.
understand.
You guys
You
doing
don't
it yourself.
see. You don't understand. There are forces at play. There's a reason why the Nigerian government shut the borders.
Okay. I understand that. I understand. No problem.
All right.
So, Medanis, I gotta get to my family as
yeah,
you
go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and close out. So,
right. You know what I mean? Again, is Nana underscore KWAKU DUA on Instagram. On our website for the nonprofit is ADYA Effect EFFECT.org. And then, of course, Agyeman Consulting Services. We always hear email me, holler at me. I'm here to help. Peace out, man. Hey, B.
we'll
Yeah.
talk soon.
Yeah. Peace. Yeah,
Until
man.
next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
All right.